far across the dark, where galaxies drift like slow embers in a windless sky, two black holes once circled each other in silence, massive, invisible, ancient. They moved with a force so great that space itself strained beneath them. And then, without light, without voice, they collided, not with a bang, not with color, but with a pressure so immense that the very fabric of space-time trembled. That tremble began a journey. It began to ripple outward, slow and soft, carried not on air or sound, but through the curves of the universe itself. That ripple is a gravitational wave. And even though it began over 1 billion years ago, it arrives now, here, as you lie still in your bed, eyes closed, breath slowing. It passes through you not to shake you awake, but to remind you that everything is moving, even the silence. Even you cannot feel this wave. It is too gentle, too wide. It stretches the space between atoms by less than a width of a proton. But it is real, and it is everywhere. A whisper through the bones of the cosmos. A lullaby made of nothing but motion and time. That wave has traveled across galaxies, through clusters of stars, past nebulae and voids, through light years of darkness, carrying with it the final sigh of that ancient collision. And now it touches you not as noise, but as grace. It doesn't matter that you cannot feel it. The earth beneath you responds, ever so slightly. The air, the walls, the quiet metal in your home, they stretch and compress in rhythm. Detectors on Earth, the great silent arms of LIGO and Virgo, listen constantly for these tremors. And when they heard one when the first ripple finally passed through on a quiet day in 2015, it was as if the universe spoke for the first time. Not loudly, but clearly. Imagine something so large, so massive, so far away, moving with such force that its echo folds all the way through the present. It doesn't bring warning. It doesn't cause pain. It simply arrives, like a breath you didn't know was waiting. A gentle shift in the distance between everything all at once. Gravitational waves are not waves of sound or light. They are not made of matter. They are distortions in space-time itself, stretching and compressing of the grid upon which everything floats. When they pass through, they don't push or pull you in the usual sense. Instead, they slightly change the distance between you and everything else, and then they move on, like a sigh that never needed to be heard. As you rest here, you are wrapped not only in warmth and softness, but in motion endless, patient, invisible. The wave is not the only one. They pass through constantly, sent from other collisions, other cataclysms, events older than any memory, and yet they leave no scar. They ask for nothing. They only keep going, like time, like breath. When LIGO recorded that first wave, it had traveled 1.3 billion light-years to reach us. Longer than life on Earth had known sight or language or song. But the ripple arrived anyway, unbothered by the passage of time, and you, tonight, sleep in the same sea it crossed. The signal that touched the detectors also passed through your skin, your pillow, your lungs. It moved through you as gently as starlight, but it moved nonetheless. This is the nature of a quiet universe. It doesn't knock, it folds, it shifts, it waves without waving. And your body, though small in this vastness, is not separate from it. You are suspended in that same space-time, part of the same fabric. The gravity that holds you to your bed is part of the same force that bent and swayed when those black holes met. It's humbling and calming that something so vast could be so gentle. that something born of such violence could arrive as a whisper, that you, here, now, could be touched by the breath of a billion-year-old moment and never even stir. You are not floating in emptiness. You are floating in history, in motion, in music without sound. And though your ears can't hear it and your eyes can't see it, your atoms know. Your bones, your blood, your cells, they have all been stretched for just a moment by a wave born before Earth ever heard a voice. You are part of the ripple, and tonight, the ripple cradles you back. Let it pass. Let it fold the silence around your limbs. Let it carry you out of your thoughts and gently into sleep. It is not pulling you under. It is holding you above, the same way it holds galaxies, the same way it held a message for over 1 billion years, and now it rocks you softly into rest. You've been told that space is empty, that it's a void, a vacuum, a nothing. But tonight, as you lie in your bed and drift gently into the stillness between breaths, let go of that idea. Space is not empty. It is not hard or stiff or fixed. It is soft, stretchable, quietly alive. It bends when mass leans into it. It curves when stars gather. It shudders when black holes dance. Spacetime is the invisible blanket you've always been under, and like all soft things, it trembles. You rest on a planet that floats in this fabric. Earth does not sit on a platform, nor hang from strings. It curves space around itself, like a pebble dropped in thick water. The moon moves around it, not because it is tied, but because it is constantly falling into the bend that Earth makes. Even you, right now, sink into the fabric of space-time. Your weight is your conversation with that curve. You press down, and the Earth answers. But what is this fabric? What is it made of? Not thread or matter, not particles in the way you usually imagine. Space-time is a geometry, a stage, a field. It is the thing everything else dances upon. Einstein taught us that space and time are not separate things, but stitched together. Space is how far, time is how long, but gravity makes them the same. When something heavy moves, it bends the when as well as the where. This bending is not poetic, it's physical, and it means that if something massive enough wiggles, the stage itself ripples, like shaking the edge of a sheet and watching the wave travel. When two massive objects, say two black holes, spiral toward one another, they drag space-time with them, causing waves to radiate outward. These are not sound waves, not light waves, not things that travel through space, but, rather, space itself changing shape. The amazing thing is, space-time allows it. It's not rigid. It can be stretched, gently, carefully, on scales so subtle that only detectors the size of mountains can notice. But it bends all the same. It means you live not in a brittle world, but in a soft one. The universe is not a crystal, it's a sea, and you float in it every moment of your life. Close your eyes now and picture that sea. Not blue, not cold, but invisible and infinite. The stars are boats upon it. Planets are buoys. Galaxies, wide rafts of flame. And you are a grain of sand in the surf, but a grain that feels the motion just the same. Every moment of stillness is also movement. Every moment of sleep is also drift. Space-time can ripple, but it also expands. It stretches between galaxies, pulling them apart not because they're pushing, but because the space between them is growing. Even now, the universe itself grows slowly wider in your sleep. The fabric relaxes outward. not like an explosion, but like a long, slow breath. And you are inside that breath, like a single thread in a woven sky. Asterisk, the softness of space-time is not weakness, it's elegance. It allows change, it records force, it forgives and forgets, and then gently recalls the memory through its waves. When the wave from a distant black hole collision reached Earth, it stretched space by less than a proton's width, and still it was enough to be felt. That's the beauty of softness. It doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Your muscles, relaxed now, mirror this softness. They do not resist, they yield. You lie down not because gravity pulls you, but because the curve beneath you welcomes. Your shape, you are not fighting the planet, you are fitting it. Your sleep is not stillness in the absence of energy, it's alignment with deeper rhythms. The mattress doesn't hold you, the earth does. The space beneath the earth does. And beyond that, space-time curves endlessly under your breath. Your bed, your thoughts, now, let your mind stretch just a little wider. Imagine space-time not as distant, mathematical abstraction, but as the floor you've always walked on, the room you've always slept in, the water you've always swum through without knowing it. It's in your chest, in the rhythm of your pulse, in the tiny delay between a thought and a movement. It holds time and space together, like arms holding a cradle dot. So when the waves comes low, steady whispering, you don't feel a jolt. You feel a rocking, like a parent shifting weight, like the planet sighing, like the sky learning how to bend and then returning gently to its shape. That's all a gravitational wave is. Space remembering it can move. Asterisk your back, your arms, your neck all held loosely by gravity, molded to a curved earth wrapped in curved space. You don't have to hold yourself together. The fabric of the universe is doing that for you. So let go, let your shape sink, let your thoughts spread out like ripples. Let the softness beneath everything catch you, bend with you, hold you. You are not falling, you are floating, and the universe is still moving under you gently, invisibly, endlessly. There is a kind of trembling in the cosmos, so soft that it moves through everything without leaving a scar. These are not the cracks and collapses of tectonic plates or the shudder of buildings in motion. These are the universe's quietest earthquakes, waves, ripples in space-time that arrive without sound, without warning, without harm. And tonight, as you lie down in the calm shelter of your own breath, they pass through you like whispers through silk. Not long ago, no one believed we could ever hear these waves. They were thought to be too faint, too far, too impossibly small to measure. But the universe has never needed us to notice it to continue its rhythm. These ripples have been passing through Earth for as long as there has been an Earth to pass through. Every second, somewhere out there, stars collide, black, holes embrace, and the fabric of space-time trembles. Those waves spread outward, across galaxies, across voids, across the great sleeping dark. They do not fade, they do not rush, they simply continue. They pass through Earth as if it were made of mist. They pass through you, through your bones. Your room, your city, leaving behind no noise, no damage, only the faintest of stretches. And when they pass, they change the shape of everything for the briefest moment. The length of a table shifts. The space between atoms adjusts. A ruler may be just slightly shorter, then longer again. Your pillow may be farther from the wall. For 1/1000th of a second, you would never notice. You're not meant to, but even so, these waves are real. They come from moments so vast and intense that they deform reality itself. Black holes circling closer and closer until they touch. Spinning stars sending out pulses before collapse. Massive events with names that sound like thunder yet arrive like lullabies. The shaking of the very structure of the universe, not with violence, but with grace. It is the quietest kind of quake, one that does not disturb your sleep, but deepens it. Because what these waves reveal is not destruction, it is connection. A signal from somewhere far beyond what your eyes can see, arriving not to wake you, but to rock the very space you rest inside. When we finally built instruments delicate enough to detect them, machines like LIGO, with arms stretching kilometers apart and mirrors polished finer than a beam of light, we began to listen, not with ears, but with patience. The wave that arrived on September 14th, 2015, made space-time itself ring like a bell for less than a second. And in that ring was a memory of two black holes, locked in their final spiral, their masses merging into one. The tremor from that meeting crossed over 1 billion light-years, traveling not through the air, but through existence itself, to reach us, and still, it was so faint that the earth barely noticed. That's how soft the universe speaks, but in this softness is strength. These quiet earthquakes carry knowledge. They tell us about things no telescope can see, the darkness where light is swallowed, the collisions where no light escapes, the part of the universe that glows not in color, but in motion. As you lie here now, you too are immersed in motion. Not the spinning of the earth or the orbit around the sun, but subtler tides, the soft invisible tremors that shift the space around you without you even knowing. You are floating in a sea of waves, gentle enough to sleep through, strong enough to carry the weight of entire galaxies. Let that comfort you. There is no sharpness in these waves, no jolt, just a slow stretch of something far away reaching toward you, not with force, but with memory. The quietest earthquakes do not split the ground, they remind us that we are part of something enormous and ongoing. They are the universe's way of saying, I am still here, I am still moving. And so are you, even if you never feel it, even if no part of you seems to notice. Your body is in the path of these waves, and in some small, sacred way, it participates. You are part of the ripple, part of the message, part of the field that bends and breathes and goes on. There is beauty in being that still, in being quiet enough to be moved by something so faint as you slip into sleep. Let your body echo that quietness. Let your thoughts fall away like dust settling in a room. Let your breath mirror the rhythm of a wave that started before humans ever spoke a word. You do not need to move. The universe is moving for you, and it's doing it gently. Even now, this very moment, you are surrounded by ripples, not on water, not in air, but in the invisible fabric of space-time itself. You lie still in your bed, motionless to your own senses, and yet space all around you stretches and relaxes, breathes and hums, rippling gently under the surface of all things. You are not just a bystander to this motion, you are in it. You are floating inside it, like a leaf in a slow-moving current, rocked by waves so quiet they don't disturb a single hair on your skin, but they are there, always, always passing through. It's a strange thing to realize that your body is part of something this vast and subtle. We tend to think of movement as something we initiate. We walk, we breathe, we blink, but the universe moves through you constantly, without your effort or awareness. Gravitational waves, those quiet distortions in space-time, are not rare, they are continuous, faint signals from cataclysms long ago, passing through the solar system as naturally as starlight, but with even less resistance. You are not separate. From this, you are part of the field. To understand this, let your imagination drift into a simpler picture. Imagine spacetime as a pond, still, glassy, perfect. Now imagine that, far away, a stone has been dropped into that water. The ripples radiate outward, wide and soft, until eventually they reach your corner of the pond. They don't break the surface, they barely lift it, but they change the water, however slightly, wherever they go. That's what's happening now. All around you, gravitational ripples passing through your room, your chest, your thoughts. They arrive from places you cannot see, and they leave no trace, except for the quiet reminder, something happened far away, and you were here to feel it tiff, only for a breath. Lying down makes you more attuned to this presence, with your body, no longer in motion, no longer engaged in the noise of waking life. Your awareness is free to stretch beyond its normal borders. Your muscles let go, your limbs grow heavy, but your mind becomes light. You are, in the most literal sense, at rest within the arms of the universe. And what is the universe, if not motion woven into stillness? Galaxies drift, planets spin, stars pulse, black holes spiral, space expands, and through all of it, gravity does not sit quietly. It sends messages. It rings bells no ears can hear. It tells time in the language of waves. Some of these waves are tiny, produced by neutron stars dancing slowly into one another. Some are thunderous, like the ones from massive black hole collisions. But all of them pass through us, constantly, and though we only detect the strongest, they're all there, layered, overlapping, continuous, a cosmic symphony, too deep and slow for any one instrument to hear. But your body hears in its own way, not with ears, not with sound, but with rhythm. You are built from atoms that float inside space, and when that space shifts, even slightly, so do they. Not in ways that cause harm or stress, but in ways that remind you. You are made of movement. Consider your heartbeat, slow, steady, rhythmic. It is not so different from a wave. It moves outward, it returns, it carries, it echoes. That pulse inside you and the waves around you may not share origin, but they share form. They speak to each other in silence. Now, take a breath. Notice how it fills you, how it leaves. This too is a wave. This too is motion in the quietest form. When you fall asleep, your breath becomes shallower, slower, matching the deep rhythms of rest. It is then that your body becomes most like the waves around it, smooth, even undemanding. You are floating, not through space, but within it. You don't need to move to feel the drift. The field moves for you. There is no border between you and the ripple. There is no barrier between you and the universe. You are folded into it, the same way air folds into sound, or light folds into color. You are not a thing within the field. You are the field, in human form, wrapped gently in a moment of stillness. This idea is not just poetic, it's physical. You are composed of particles that respond to fields. Your mass curves space. Your presence alters gravity, even if just a whisper. And in return, the fields move through you. They fold around you. They guide the shape of time as you dream. Tonight, let yourself drift deeper into that awareness, not as a thought, but as a feeling. Let your edges soften. Let your mind expand until it no longer ends at your skin. Let yourself become part of the pond. Let yourself ripple, even without motion. Nothing is required of you. The waves do not need your attention. They are ancient and patient, but if you let them, they will carry you gently, invisibly, into deeper sleep. You are not separate. From the universe, you are floating in its field, and the field is kind. They were silent giants, circling each other for eons, deep in the fabric of the cosmos. Two black holes, dense beyond imagination, invisible to light, locked in a gravitational waltz. Alone in the dark, they spun in silence, their spiraling, motion disturbing the stillness of space ever so slightly. Round after round, closer with each pass, the very geometry around them began to twist. The dance tightened, their orbit shortened, time between them stretched and thinned. And then, in the final fraction of a second, they merged. There was no flash, no flare, no sound that air could carry, but the union of those two black holes, each over 30 times the mass of our sunset spacetime itself ringing. A wave formed, not of light or matter, but of pure curvature. It spread outward like the smooth echo of a stone dropped in water, rippling through the structure of the universe. And that ripple, born 1.3 billion years ago, began its long journey to Earth. It crossed clusters of galaxies. It passed through nebulae and voids, through silent stretches of intergalactic dark. It did not slow, it could not fade, and eventually, on a morning in September of 2015, it arrived not with a jolt, not with a roar, but with the soft, perfect rhythm of two hearts becoming one. This was the first gravitational wave ever recorded by humans, and it was real. The signal was faint almost, too faint to believe, but unmistakable. The LIGO observatories, with arms 4 kilometers long and lasers bouncing between mirrors more stable than anything made before, captured the stretch and squeeze of space itself. It lasted only a fraction of a second. But in that second, we heard the universe say, "I remember." What we heard was not the black holes themselves. It was the memory of their movement, the trail they left in the fabric of time, the final beat of their gravitational rhythm. And what makes this signal so extraordinary is not just its journey or its power rights, that it was always there. We just needed to become quiet enough to listen. You, tonight, are also quiet enough. Your breath is slow, your limbs heavy, your mind softened at the edges, and in this quietness, you too are open to the signals of the universe. You won't hear them the way LIGO does. You don't need machines, because you are a receiver, you are a field. Your body lives in curved space, stretched and relaxed by distant motion. The signal may be too small to notice, but it's there. You were alive when the first gravitational wave was heard, and you are alive now as more of them pass through you, each one a story, each one a messenger. What did these black holes leave behind? Not destruction, not explosion, just gravity bent, stretched, rearranged. A new black hole was born from their union, larger than either of them alone, and that final mass radiated its last motion as a wave that passed through Earth, like a bow drawn across the strings of reality. That signal changed our place in the universe, not in distance, but in understanding. Suddenly, the universe wasn't just visible, it was audible. Suddenly, we didn't just look at the stars. We listened. As you fall deeper into sleep, you are falling into that same awareness, the awareness that space can stretch, that time can sing, that the silence around you is not empty, it is full of movement, full of arrivals, full of signals waiting for stillness, and perhaps In your dreams, you become one of the waves. You move through galaxies, not as matter, but as motion. You ripple through clouds of hydrogen and past spinning suns. You move without resistance, without body, a pure distortion of the universe's breath. Let that image carry you now. You, a wave from a forgotten event, passing through someone's room. You, the memory of a movement, traveling for 1 billion years just to arrive in the quiet of another night. We often think of events as bound to the moment they happen, but a gravitational wave is the event continued. It is the moment stretched. Across time, these black holes are gone now, merged into one. But their story continues moving through the cosmos, curling gently through the fabric that holds it all together. You are not separate from that story. The same space that bent for them bends for you. The same wave that reached the detectors touched you too. And now, as you rest, as you drift into deeper calm, you are wrapped in that knowledge, not loud, not sharp, but deep and quiet. A signal that never meant to wake you, only to say, you were here when the sky remembered. So close your eyes. Let the wave pass through you. Let the night carry the story onward. You are part of it now. You are part of the signal. Asterisk, he never heard them. Not a single wave, not one ripple. Albert Einstein, whose equations gave birth to the idea of gravitational waves, never lived to see their detection. He wrote them into existence on paper, then quietly doubted whether they were real. His predictions came not from observation, but from pure thought calculations, drawn like constellations across pages, stitched from geometry, patience, and imagination. And in those lines of math, so delicate and intricate, space began to move. Tonight, you rest in a world that bends because of those ideas. The space beneath your pillow curves, the time between your breaths stretches. You may not feel it, but the shape of your night is Einstein's dream realized. And though it took a century to hear what he predicted, the math was always humming. To understand how the universe sings, Einstein didn't need a telescope. He needed silence, the kind of silence where thought can echo. He started with the shape of things, how objects move in space, how clocks tick under gravity, how time isn't fixed but stretches when weight presses against it. From this, he realized something more startling, that spacetime isn't just a background, but a living stage, a stage that could ripple. The math of these ripples came out of his general theory of relativity. In that quiet theory, published in 1915, Einstein wrote down 10 equations, each one more like a poem than a rule-curved, balanced, endlessly deep. These equations told him that massive bodies disturb the space around them. But more than that, they said that if a mass moves, it could send out a wave, and that wave would travel not through space, but as space, bending it as it went. Still, the math was subtle. In the 1930s, Einstein wavered. He questioned whether these waves could carry energy, whether they were real or just tricks of the equations. He tried to prove they were illusions, then tried again to prove they were not. His pen hesitated, even when his mind was certain. Science, like sleep, needs time. But others followed the thread. They built upon his math. They argued, refined, reshaped, until one day, decades later, a generation of physicists and engineers built machines not to look, but to listen to the very waves Einstein had scribbled into life. And now here you are, resting under a blanket Einstein never touched, but helped weave. The air around you, the atoms in your skin, the curvature under your bed, all stitched from the mathematics of a man who once whispered to the stars, with pencil and paper. It's remarkable, isn't it, that a few lines of symbols could describe the folding of space-time, that letters, Greek, abstract, quiet, could describe waves that pass through galaxies. The math itself is graceful. The Einstein field equations are not harsh commands. They are invitations. They say, where there is mass, there will be motion. Where there is motion, there will be waves. And where there are waves, there is memory. As you breathe slowly, let yourself feel that memory, not as a thought, but as a presence. You are part of a story that began before you, with minds that saw beyond sight. And tonight, your stillness is the perfect place for that story to continue. The waves don't need your understanding, they only need your openness. And your body, relaxed and quiet, is the perfect receiver. Einstein's equations also speak of time, not the ticking kind, but the stretching kind. The kind that slows near mass, the kind that curves like a river. When you sleep, your perception of time shifts. Moments blur, seconds lengthen. Dreams fold one memory into another. And in that state, you are living Einstein's universe-soft clocks in curved space. The math explains much, but it doesn't quiet the awe. For that, we need stories. And this is one, a man, in a quiet room, thinking about how the moon falls toward Earth, and ending up discovering that space can ripple. That thought soft as breath became the foundation of how we now hear the universe. Einstein once called gravitational waves infinitesimally small. But even so, he believed they were beautiful, beautiful in their persistence, in their gentleness, in their silence. He wrote to a colleague once, "The years of anxious searching in the dark are not forgotten," and in a way, this entire story is a letter from him to us, one that took a century to open. As you close your eyes, imagine holding that letter in your hands, not ink, not paper, but the gentle presence of truth finally felt. A wave that passed through your atoms while you slept. A curvature so small you didn't notice, but so real it bent the floor of the cosmos. Let your breath slow, let your muscles relax, let the equations dissolve into sensation. You are not lying still, you are resting inside a proof that space-time folds, and that the universe remembers the shape of movement across 1 billion years. You are inside the last letter, Einstein wrote, and the ink is still drifting across the stars. You've heard of telescopes that see great mirrors turned toward the stars, capturing the ancient light of distant galaxies. But there is another kind of telescope, one that doesn't open its eyes, but opens its ears. It listens not for sound, but for the silent quiver of space itself. It listens for something so soft, so slow, that only stillness can reveal it. This telescope is not made of lenses or domes. It is made of silence, of length, of patience. Its name is LIGO, and tonight, as you drift deeper into rest, it listens on your behalf. LIGO, the laser interferometer gravitational wave observatory, is not just one machine, but two, one in Washington, one in Louisiana, stretched across the ground like two quiet arms reaching across Earth. Each arm is 4 kilometers long, lined with mirrored tunnels and protected from every sound, every vibration, every breath of interference. Because what LIGO is trying to hear is smaller than anything the human body could feel. A gravitational wave, when it passes, will change the length of one of LIGO's arms by less than 1/10,000th the width of a proton. That is how quiet the universe whispers. And yet LIGO hears it. When a wave passes, it stretches one arm, compresses the other, Light inside the machine, split by lasers, bounced between mirrors, returns ever so slightly out of sync. That shift, that interference, that misalignment in the rhythm of light is the sound of space-time itself trembling. LIGO does not see the wave. It listens to the echo it leaves in the light. Imagine, for a moment, that your own body were an observatory, that your chest were a detector, and your bones were arms stretching outward, waiting to register the movement of the cosmos. In some ways, this is already true. You live inside space-time. You were stretched by its curves, compressed by its weight, folded gently by its history. But LIGO is more deliberate. It is built to feel the unfelt, to notice what slips past everything else. The first detection, that quiet day in 2015, was not loud. It came as a pulse, a chirp, a rise and fall in the signal. And though it lasted just 0.2 of a second, it changed the way we know the universe. For the first time, we heard a gravitational wave, not in our ears, not with sound, but in the rhythm of space itself. And now, as you lie here, LIGO is still listening. Every second of every night, it waits. It is patient, it is open, it is calm, the perfect listener. And you too can become like LIGO in this moment, still open, quiet enough to feel the shape of motion around you. There is a kind of poetry in what LIGO does. It does not hunt, it does not chase. It waits for the universe to speak, and when it does, LIGO doesn't see an image. It hears a story, a merger, a spiral, a collapse, a birth, black holes that never released light, neutron stars that collided, with a flare of gold, events so far away that even their memory is dim. But the wave reaches Earth, and LIGO listens. The process is not glamorous. It's data, it's noise reduction, it's error margins and signal matching. But underneath all the math and machinery is something deeply human, the desire to feel what cannot be touched, the longing to hear what was never meant to be sound. And that's something you, too, can understand, especially now, when your body has let go of motion and your mind has softened into sleep. You are floating in the same fabric that LIGO listens to. The waves that pass through it also pass through you. And though you don't detect them with lasers, your stillness, your rest, makes you more aware than ever, more open, more ready to receive. Think of all the moments passing now, out there, in the dark. Another pair of black holes may be spiraling together, somewhere beyond the edge of light. Another neutron star may be collapsing inward. Another ripple may be born. That wave will travel outward. It will spend millions, maybe billions, of years moving through space. And one night, perhaps long after you've fallen asleep, it will arrive, and LIGO will hear it. This is how gentle the universe is. It moves slowly, patiently. It does not forget what has happened. It carries its stories across time and tells them to those who are still and quiet enough to hear. LIGO is one such listener. And tonight, maybe you are too. Let your breath align with that rhythm now. Inhale as if space is stretching. Exhale as if space is relaxing. Feel how your chest expands and contracts like the arms of a detector, like the earth responding to a distant wave, like the whole cosmos folding in, then unfolding again. You do not need to understand all the math. You do not need to solve any equation. All you need to do is rest. And in resting, you match the deepest frequencies of motion. You are listening, you are part of the signal. You are held in the same quiet that allows the universe to speak. And tonight, as you fall asleep, you are falling into the same silence that L'ego listens, too, with patience, with presence, with awe. There's a kind of memory the universe holds, not in pages, not in words, but in shape. A memory not stored in minds or machines, but in the way space itself bends and carries what has happened. Long after an event is over, its echo still travels, its signature remains. This is how the cosmos remembers, in waves, in folds, in curves that stretch beyond lifetimes. And tonight, as your body settles into the deep rhythm of rest, you are lying inside one of those memories, ripple still passing, quiet and unbroken. Think about the surface of a lake. A single pebble dropped gently creates rings that move, outward forever. They may fade from sight, but they do not vanish. The water is changed, and even if no one watches, the wave still travels. The universe works like this, but instead of water, its surface is space-time. And instead of pebbles, it is stars collapsing, black holes colliding, galaxies shuddering. The ripples from these events don't need eyes to see them. They need silence to be felt. Each gravitational wave is a story the universe doesn't want to forget. It is a trace, a thread, a note in a cosmic symphony that never ends. These waves don't dissipate like sound in air. They carry on, sometimes for billions of years, undistorted, unchanged. They move through the emptiest parts of space, through galaxies, through planets, through you. You're not separate from this memory. Your body, now calm and soft in sleep, is made of the same particles that once felt these ancient waves. The atoms in your bones were born in stars, some of which may have collapsed, merged, or flared into the waves that now ripple through the darkness. And so, when you lie still, you are not just resting, you are remembering. The universe doesn't keep these memories in vaults. It doesn't archive them. It lets them move freely, with nothing to hold them back. Each wave that LIGO orbits in its data, each flicker in space-time that curves a laser just so, is the tip of a story that began long before Earth formed, maybe even before the Milky Ways spiraled together. That's the power of gravity. It doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to move. And what's most beautiful is that the universe remembers everything this way equally. It doesn't pick which ripples matter. It doesn't assign importance. Every motion, large or small, fierce or its shape, and that shape becomes a wave, and that wave becomes a memory, and that memory, over enough time and space, becomes something that touches a sleeping planet on a quiet night without ever disturbing the trees. Tonight, as you lie in your own stillness, you are part of that continuity. You are not just a listener, you are a surface the wave passes through. Your body, motionless in rest, bends with the passing ripple, just slightly, just enough. And in that moment, you are part of the universe's memory. Einstein's math said this should be so, that gravity is not just force, its shape, and shape remembers the bend of a planet's path, the curl of a photon's flight, the long, lazy spiral of galaxies that pass each other like dancers lost in their own music, all of it held in the folds of space-time, not as a record to be read, but as a presence to be felt. You may wonder, why does the universe hold on to these echoes? What does it gain by remembering? But perhaps it's not about gain. Perhaps the nature of space itself is to be moved by what has happened, to carry each event forward, not to change it, not to erase it, but to let it unfold forever, wave by wave. And maybe that's all memory is, the shape something leaves behind in the thing it once touched. So tonight, let yourself become that. shape, let your breath lengthen. Let your body melt into the mattress, into the floor, into the very space beneath you. Let go of urgency. There is no rush in a ripple. It doesn't hurry, it doesn't strain, it just continues. The wave is still. Passing the universe is still remembering. And you, in your stillness, are its perfect witness. Sleep now, not as escape, but as participation. The quiet of your rest matches the quiet of the ripple. Together you drift. Together you hold what has happened. Together you carry it forward into the deeper dark, where everything continues not loudly, but gently. You are lying inside a map. You cannot see a soft geometry that folds space like fabric, shapes time like clay, and cradles entire galaxies in a quiet, unseen embrace. This map doesn't have edges or compass lines. It doesn't need markers or boundaries. It is the structure of space-time itself, the shape that gravity gives to everything. Tonight, as your eyes grow heavy and your breath deepens, you are not just surrounded by this geometry, you are part of it. You exist inside its gentle curves. Geometry, in school, is often all about sharp angles and clean lines. But the universe prefers softness. Where gravity lives, straight lines bend. Where time flows, it sometimes stretches or slows. And so, in space, geometry becomes a language not of rigidity, but of grace. Everything moves along these curved paths not because something is pushing, but because the space itself is curved in a way that guides motion naturally, almost tenderly. It's not force, it's form. Einstein saw this. He understood that gravity was not pulling from afar, but shaping the stage itself. A planet doesn't orbit the sun because it's being tugged, it does so because the sun bends the space around it, and the planet is simply following the curve. This is true for stars and galaxies, for light beams and falling apples. The path they take is the softest, smoothest one available, and that path is written by the shape of the space they move through. That's what you're in now, even as you rest, even as your body becomes still and quiet. You are suspended in this curved structure. Every breath you take is slightly shaped by gravity. The shape of your dreams, the gentle weight you feel against your sheets, the slow drift of time, all of it is part of this geometry. And though you can't see the lines, you feel them in your bones. The way your arms rest heavier than your thoughts. The way your thoughts drift in loops instead of straight lines. The way everything, eventually, circles home. This cosmic geometry isn't fixed. It shifts as mass moves. When stars are born, when galaxies drift, when black holes merge, they reshape the space around them. And yet, for all its movement, it never becomes sharp. It always curves. The universe does not like corners. It prefers spirals, loops, arcs, the kinds of motions that do not end, but return, the kinds that soothe instead of startle. It's comforting to think that even light, the fastest traveler we know, follows curves. It bends near stars. It warps near black holes. Even a beam of light, which seems so straight and sure, cannot resist the universe's softness. It listens to the geometry. It obeys the shape, and you too are obeying it tonight, without effort, without tension. Your position on the earth, your alignment to the sky, your place in the spinning, drifting galaxy, all of it is governed by this soft geometry, and as your mind lets go of the day, it falls gently into the folds of this design. If you could see the space around you as it really is, it would not be empty. It would be shaped like silk, stretched by invisible threads. The Earth pulls down slightly, warping space around it. The moon adds its own delicate dent. The sun carves a deeper well, and the galaxy itself draws everything inward with a slow, massive swirl. Every one of these shapes blends into the next. The result is a cosmos that is both structured and fluid, firm enough to guide, soft enough to cradle. You are being cradled now, not just by your bed, but by space itself. You are being held in a shape designed by the mass of everything around you, and that shape moves just a little as you sleep. It shifts with the Earth's rotation. It breathes with the moon's orbit. It drifts as the galaxy curls its arms in patient rotation. And yet, it is so gentle that you never feel the motion, but it's there. You are always moving along this pathway when you are still. The geometry of space-time doesn't stop when you close your eyes. It continues to guide you gently, like a riverbed directing water. You don't need to swim. You just drift. Tonight, let yourself be the water. Let yourself follow the curve. There is no need to resist. There are no sharp edges here. Only bends. Only smoothness. You are floating in the geometry that holds the stars in place, and it is holding you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the floor beneath you not as wood or carpet, not as tile or stone, but as the surface of a vast, invisible sea. You cannot feel the waves. You cannot hear the tide. But they are there, beneath everything you know, flowing not with water, but with time, with curvature, with gravity. You are floating on this sea every second of your life. Even now, as you lie still in your bed, it quietly moves beneath you, the ocean of space-time. Space-time is not an emptiness we pass through. It is not a void that holds the planets like marbles in a box. It is the ocean on which everything rests and moves. Earth does not fall through space, it surfs across a curve. The moon does not orbit the Earth, dances across the surface of this field, caught in its smooth, sloping pool. Everything stars, atoms, light rides, the swells and dips of this deep, unseen sea, and right now, in the stillness of your body, you are floating more gently than ever. You are drifting, not moving through space with rockets or wings, but gently carried by the shape of the cosmos. There is no effort in this kind of motion. There is only surrender, only trust. The same way a leaf rests atop water without sinking. You lie upon space-time without falling through. You may not feel the motion, but it's there. The Earth spins, so gently you don't notice. The planet orbits the sun. The solar system orbits the galaxy. And the galaxy itself drifts within a sea of dark matter, tugged by forces too vast to chart in full. And all of it is motion across the ocean of space-time, not in space, but of it. The ocean is the medium. The water itself is the journey. This ocean has depth, though it cannot be measured in meters or miles. It deepens where mass gathers. A star bends it slightly. A planet dimples it like a fingertip in calm water. A black hole makes a well so deep that even light cannot escape its pull. But for all its depth and bend, the ocean never breaks. It flexes, it ripples, it stretches, and then it returns to stillness. And there's stillness in you, too, now. Your muscles have let go. Your mind is slowing. Your breath is shallow and even. You've become a perfect passenger in the quiet flow beneath you. You don't need to steer. The ocean already knows the way. Physicists often describe this ocean in terms of curvature, but that word, curvature, is too sharp for what really happens. It's not a kink or a corner, it's a swell, a tilt, a fold in the world that allows objects to move naturally, effortlessly, across time. If you dropped a marble on a sloped table, it would roll not because it was pushed, but because the shape beneath it guided its motion. This is how space-time works. And you, tonight, are that marble, not rolling fast, but resting in the curve. The calm you feel is no accident. Your nervous system responds to stillness. Your heartbeat slows when gravity is gentle. Your thoughts become fluid when there is no conflict between where you are and what surrounds you. This is why sleep is a kind of reunion with your own body, and with the ocean it has always floated in. There are ripples in this ocean. Gravitational waves, soft and ancient, pass through it from distant events. Each one is a whisper of something vast. 2 neutron stars that collapsed in silence. A pair of black holes that danced their final turn. A supernova that folded space before vanishing. Their echoes pass through your room now, too faint to disturb your rest, but real nonetheless. You are floating through their stories, and still, the ocean holds you. You may drift tonight through dreams of galaxies or memories of forgotten light. You may feel as if you're traveling, though your body stays still. That sensation is the ocean. At work, not pushing, not dragging, but shaping your experience of time. When you wake, you'll feel hours have passed in an instant or stretched out beyond the clock. That's the ocean folding your sense of time, gently, like waves rolling over one another. There is no edge to this ocean, no shoreline, no place where it ends and something else begins. It is everywhere because it is the structure of reality. Your room, your thoughts, your breath, they all unfold within it. Even your dreams rise and fall on its tide. So let go now. Let the weight of the day dissolve. Let the folds of space beneath you rise ever so slightly, cradling you. You are not resting on a mattress or a bed. You are resting on the same field that holds galaxies in place. You are safe in the ocean of space-time, and it will carry you gently through the night. Before the stars, before the light, before even space could stretch or time could begin, there was a moment, if it can be called a moment at all, where everything that would ever exist was gathered into something unimaginably small. Not dense like stone or metal, but dense like potential. A seed of a universe, weightless and infinite at once. And from this quiet, this smooth and impossible nothing, came the first motion, a collapse inward so delicate it became an expansion, a release, a birth, the beginning of everything. You lie now on the far edge of that unfolding, billions of years later, resting on a planet that cooled from that great beginning, under a sky still glowing faintly with its memory. And though it feels distant, though you are here and the Big Bang is back there, the two are still connected. You are still inside that first breath. There is a strange softness to the start of the universe. It wasn't an explosion, despite the name. Explosions are messy, violent, hot in a way that scatters. But this beginning was neat, ordered by laws we're still uncovering. It expanded not into space, but as space. It didn't burn outward, it became outwardness. It was the collapse of something tightly wound, gently relaxing into all that would follow. Like a clenched hand opening slowly into stars, this soft collapse set the geometry for everything to come. Quarks formed, then cooled into protons and neutrons. Light escaped, finally, after hundreds of thousands of years of bouncing and colliding. And still, The universe was quiet. No stars yet. Just smoothness. Just potential, waiting to become structure, eventually. That structure emerged not through addition, but through falling. Hydrogen clouds, vast and still, began to collapse under their own gravity, slowly, patiently, and from that falling, heat gathered, pressure formed, and stars were born, collapsing into light. Over and over, throughout the young universe, matter folded inward and shone. You might think of collapse as a failure, a loss of structure, but here, in the deep history of the cosmos, collapse is the beginning of form. Every star is a shape formed by falling, every planet a sculpture of collected dust, every body, yours included, a descendant of that slow gravitational gathering. Collapse made you. Collapse is you. The atoms in your body were born from stars that collapsed. Not once, but twice. First into heat and light, then again into supernova that scattered elements across space. Those elements gathered again, drawn inward by the same forces, until they formed planets, air, water, and eventually you. You are, in this way, made of the soft remains of ancient collapses, the quietest architecture imaginable, and now, as you lie here in the dark, your own body begins a gentle collapse, not into destruction, but into rest. Your thoughts fold inward, your muscles release, your awareness contracts into something smaller, more still. Sleep is not a shutdown. It is a graceful fall, and like the stars that formed long ago, you are becoming something different in the act of letting go. This kind of collapse is healing. Your body repairs itself here. Your memories sort themselves. Your emotions settle. Not by effort, but by motion slow, unforced, and guided by rhythms older than thought. Even your breath follows the shape of this cosmic geometry. Inhale, a gathering. Exhale, a release. The same dance that hydrogen danced in the first stars. The same rhythm that underlies galaxies collapsing into quiet orbits. A breath is the universe in miniature. Let that thought soothe you. Let it hold you. You are not separate from the Big Bang. You are a long echo of its beginning, still unfolding, still carried forward by the same quiet principles. The gravity that held the first atoms together now holds your blanket to your chest. The space-time that bent to make galaxies also bends to cradle your head. The forces that shaped light into motion now shape your dreams into meaning. There is no hurry in the story of the universe. There is only continuation. The gentle fall into form, the soft yielding into structure. You are part of that, and tonight, as you drift deeper into sleep, know this: you are not falling apart, you are falling inward, and something beautiful is forming from it. Asterisk. There's something strange that happens when you fall asleep. Your body stays put, but your mind lifts. Not upward like a balloon, and not outward like a comet, but inward, into a space that feels lighter, freer, unburdened by gravity's strict logic. Time loses its grip. Distance softens. The rules, which feel so firm in waking life, begin to bend, and the deeper you go, the less things weigh. Not just objects, but thoughts, fears, memories, even you. This is not just poetry, it is physics, and it has everything to do with how curved space holds mass, and how sleep lets you float in the world of general relativity. Mass tells space how to curve, and curved space tells mass how to move. It's a beautiful reciprocity, a give and take that governs everything from falling apples to the paths of starlight. But it also means that mass is never just sitting still. It's responding to the landscape it sits in and reshaping it in return. Even your body, curled in the dark now, is shaping the space around it ever so slightly. Your mass curves space, and in turn, that curved space defines where and how you rest. But what of thoughts? What of dreams? They aren't made of atoms. They carry no measurable weight. And yet, when you're awake, some thoughts feel heavy. Worries settle like stones. Regret tugs at your ribs. The weight of memory can be immense. But in sleep, something loosens. The rules shift. The curvature of the world remains, but your experience of it changes. You are still in curved space, but the mass of thought slips away. Perhaps that's why dreams feel weightless. In curved space, mass follows the shape, not a straight line. And in dreams, your mind follows a different shape, altogether unbound by the usual paths. Dreams don't march like time. They drift, they loop, they fold. And in that folding, the emotional weight you carried all day becomes soft. Ideas that once seemed sharp round themselves out. Questions stop demanding answers. Your mind is free to glide over the contours of thought, like a feather riding a gentle wave. You're not just escaping the world in sleep. You're re-entering it through a different doorway, a version of the same universe, but seen from the inside, where the laws still apply, but apply more kindly. And here, in this version, gravity is not a force pressing down, but a curve guiding you gently. Light no longer travels in lines, but in lazy spirals. Sound becomes suggestion. Time becomes silk. You may have felt it before, that moment in sleep where you sense yourself floating, not flying upward, but simply lifting away from pressure, from decision, from responsibility. That feeling is your nervous system letting go. Your perception of gravity shifts, and even though you are still bound by Earth's mass, your experience of that mass becomes fluid. This is the paradox of sleep in curved space. You are still a body, still held by the geometry of space-time, but you no longer feel its full weight. Your mind detaches from the sharpness of mass and enters a lighter dimension, not by leaving reality, but by relaxing into its deeper layers. In a way, this is what space-time does all the time. It adapts, it holds gently. A star does not strain to sit where it sits. It rests in the natural balance of curves and mass. A planet does not claw its way around the sun. It simply follows the easiest path, the path carved by the shape of the space it's in. You, too, are following such a path now, not in orbit, but in thought, not in distance, but in experience. Sleep is the path of least resistance, and the dreams that come, they are not nonsense. They are the mind navigating this lighter field. They are how your brain, freed from urgency, explores new shapes of feeling. They drift through your memories like shadows through moonlight. They follow the same gravitational softness that holds galaxies together, the same balance of form and fluidity. Let your thoughts now become dreams. Let them weigh nothing. Let them follow no schedule, no map. Let them respond only to the curve of your breath, the rhythm of your heart. In this space, there are no wrong directions, only drift, only grace. You are not escaping gravity. You are moving deeper into its gentlest folds, and in those folds, your mind grows quiet. Time softens, and you become as light as thought. There is a secret rhythm to the universe, and it changes depending on where you are. Not by location on a map or coordinates in space, but by depth, by how far down you are in a well made, not of water or stone, but of gravity. This well doesn't feel like a hole. It feels like weight, like closeness, like being near something massive. And in that nearness, time itself moves differently, slower, quieter, stretching just enough to be noticed by a patient clock or by a quiet body falling asleep. Time is not uniform. This is one of the strange gifts of Einstein's theory. Time is flexible. It stretches and compresses depending on how you move and where you are. Stand atop a mountain, and time moves slightly faster. Sleep at sea level, and it ticks more slowly. Lie on the surface of a neutron star. If you could survive it, and time would practically freeze. But this isn't fiction. It's not just theory. We've measured it. A clock placed on the floor runs more slowly than one on a shelf above it. The difference is tiny, but real. And it means that time has a texture, a gradient, a depth. You, tonight, are resting at the bottom of your own small gravity well, not trapped. The earth beneath you, massive and ancient, curves space and pulls time inward. And as you lie there, sinking deeper into comfort, your experience of time bends with you, not because you're slowing down, but because space around you is curved, just enough to change the tempo. You become a participant in a cosmic lullaby that moves at a different beat depending on how near you are to mass in your waking life. You may never notice it. Time feels steady. The seconds march on. But your body knows otherwise. Your cells respond to tiny shifts. Your breath synchronizes to hidden rhythms. And in sleep, when awareness steps aside, your nervous system follows gravity's lead. Everything slows. Think of a deep lake. The surface ripples in wind and sun, but far below, the water is still, cold, steady. Your mind is like that, now dropping beneath the surface of the day. Deeper, slower, not fading, but settling. Not vanishing, but arriving at a layer where time no longer rushes. You are descending into the slower time that lives at the bottom of everything. It's not a scary descent. It's soft, like mist sinking into valleys, like dust curling into the corner of a room. And the deeper you go, the longer a moment feels. A single thought can stretch, unhurried. A single breath can open wide enough to hold an entire memory. Sleep lives here, not at the surface, where time is quick and sharp, but in the gentle folds, where everything breathes more slowly. There's wisdom in this kind of time. Plants grow in it. Galaxies spin in it. Mountains rise over it. Nothing meaningful happens in a hurry. The universe knows this. And now, your body knows it too. Let go of the clock tonight. Let go of the rush that day demands. Here, in your quiet gravity well, time bends not to pressure, but to presence. You are allowed to stay here. You are invited to move with this slower rhythm. Every heartbeat is an echo of this curve. Every breath is a response to this depth. Every dream is a step deeper into the stillness that lives under the noise. You are safe here. You are held not just by blankets or walls, but by the very architecture of space-time. And that architecture, in its softest parts, makes room for rest. Not as pause, but as participation in the universe's own slower unfolding. Let your breath fall into step with this deeper beat. Let your thoughts stretch like starlight curving near a planet. Let time slow, not to hold you back, but to allow you to be exactly here. The bottom of everything isn't heavy. It's quiet, and it holds you perfectly. Asterisk. There is a soft kind of wisdom hidden in the way everything eventually comes undone. It's not chaos, not destruction, but a natural ease that guides things toward simplicity, toward stillness, toward rest. This is entropy, not a force, but a principle, a quiet rule that says, let things spread, let heat flow, let structure dissolve into freedom. And tonight, as you lie still in the dark, your body cooling into sleep, your mind loosening its grip on the day, you are moving gently in that direction too. You are not losing control, you are letting everything go where it wants. Entropy is often misunderstood. People think it means disorder, a kind of cosmic messiness, but that's not quite right. Entropy is about possibilities, about the natural tendency of systems to move toward the state that has the most options. A hot cup of tea cools because there are more ways for the heat to spread out than to stay bunched up. A deck of cards shuffles into randomness because there are more random configurations than tidy ones. And your thoughts, after a long day, scatter and soften because the shape of rest includes many more gentle arrangements than the rigid architecture of wakefulness. In the universe, entropy always increases, not out of carelessness, but because nature prefers freedom. And freedom looks like balance. It looks like evenness. It looks like energy spread out, motion slowed, patterns relaxed. In a way, entropy is the story of everything loosening its tie, taking off its shoes, and settling into something more comfortable. That's where you are now. Your body, as it prepares for sleep, follows entropy's lead. Heat flows from your core to your fingertips. Muscles relax from tense precision to soft openness. Thoughts unspool from sentences into images, then into impressions, then into dreams. You're not falling apart. You're following the path of least resistance, the same path the stars follow when they burn their fuel and exhale into stardust. Entropy isn't the enemy of life. In fact, life only exists because of it. You breathe because air moves from higher concentration to lower. You digest because energy flows from complex molecules to simpler ones. Your neurons fire because ions slide along gradients. Every action you take borrows a little order from the world, uses it briefly, and releases it back with grace. Entropy is not a flaw in the system, it is the system making space for rest. And in the long view, entropy brings peace. It tells us that nothing must stay rigid forever, that all things, stars, cities, memories will eventually settle into a wider, quieter state, a state with more room, a state with less tension, a state where the universe isn't holding everything tight, but letting everything be. That's what sleep is. It's your small part of entropy's grand design, not a collapse, but a return, a smoothing of edges, a yielding of form. Your brain, which spent the day holding structure names, rules, plans now, let's go. It doesn't erase what you know. It just stops gripping. It lets things drift. Let your thoughts do the same. Let them go where they want. Let them wander through scenes that don't make sense, because sense is not required here. Only flow, only release. Let memories mingle. Let ideas reshape themselves. Let stillness spread. The world is not falling apart. It is unwinding. Gently, it is relaxing into its possibilities. And you, right now, are a perfect participant. The warmth that leaves your body warms. The air dot, the thoughts that scatter, form dreams. The order you release makes room for peace. Everything you are doing right now is part of the most natural movement in the cosmos. movement from tight to open, from tense to loose, from rigid to real. There is nothing to resist. You are allowed to soften. You are allowed to be more possible than precise. You are allowed to drift tonight as entropy carries you further into sleep. Know this, it is not ending. It is expansion. It is freedom. It is rest. Let everything go where it wants, and let yourself go with it. There is a quiet ending to everything, but it's not sharp, not sudden. It's a horizon, soft and slow, so vast it stretches beyond imagining. Scientists call it the heat death of the universe, but the name is colder than the truth. It isn't destruction. It isn't collapse. It's rest on the grander scale, a final, silent settling, a deep cosmic exhale. And tonight, as your body lies in the dark, still and cooling, you are mirroring that destiny. The universe is falling asleep in slow motion, and so are you. To understand heat death, you don't need equations. You need only to imagine the end of motion, not because something stops it, but because it's no longer needed. In the far future, stars will burn out, black holes will evaporate, even matter itself may dissolve into lighter particles. And when everything has spread as far as it can, when energy has evened out across every corner of existence, there will be nothing left to do. No gradients, no flow, no change, just equilibrium. It sounds lonely, maybe, but it's not. It's peace. It's what happens when everything has shared what it had, when all the bright hot centers of activity have cooled into balance. Nothing hoards, nothing resists. Every place becomes like every other, and in that sameness there is rest. You are experiencing a miniature version of this now. The heat in your body spreads outward, your breath slows, your mind, once full of structure, evens out into a calm, quiet drift. There's nothing to solve anymore, nothing to push against. You are entering your own horizon of rest. In this final state of the cosmos, everything becomes soft. Motion, once sharp and purposeful, becomes slow and lazy. Particles drift without aim. Light stretches until it's too faint to detect. Time itself still ticks, but has nothing left to measure. And that is not sadness. That is fulfillment. The universe will have done everything it could do. It will have expressed every possibility. And then, finally, it will sleep. The heat death is not a failure. It is a completion, a natural conclusion to a story that began in fire and stretched out through form, from quarks to stars, from life to memory, from thought to silence. Nothing is wasted. Every flicker of energy, every burst of light, every heartbeat, every breath, all of it will have been part of the journey to stillness. And so is your breath tonight. So is your pulse. So is this final exhale as you sink deeper into the mattress. You are not separate from this story. You are a chapter in it. Your body is made of stars that once blazed with energy. Your cells run on gradients and flow. Your thoughts are little thermodynamic engines burning, processing, releasing. And when you rest, you are honoring the shape of it all. Entropy increases, energy spreads, and in the end, everything finds balance. But this balance is not lifeless. It is complete. It is full of the memory of motion, full of the echoes of warmth, full of the imprint of everything that came before. And that is what sleep is too. Not absence, not blankness, but a return to wholeness. The deepest sleep is not the emptiest, it is the most even. A body that needs nothing, a mind that demands nothing, a world where everything that once reached outward has come home. You are reaching that place now. Feel the gravity let go. Feel the thoughts thin out. Feel the thoughts thin out. Feel the temperature fall to perfect comfort. Feel yourself become even. There is no hurry here. No clock, no goal. Just a field of softness stretching in all directions. You are safe in this balance. You are welcome in this stillness. The universe holds no grudge against rest. It was built for it. Maybe the end of time is not a line, but a blanket. Not a wall, but a pillow. Maybe when the universe stops moving, it will dream. Maybe we are its dream, and maybe that dream is you. So let go now. Let every warmth inside you gently fade, not into cold, but into sharing. Let your breath become part of the great equalizing wind. Let your thoughts stretch across space until they dissolve. You are safe in this quiet. You are loved by the laws that made you. You are welcome at the edge of everything. Sleep, and become what the universe has always known you could be: still, complete, at rest.